that we were able to pass the JSON object from the client to the server. Now the server needs to be able to store that in the database, right? So up to this point, the database doesn't have real much, right? It only has this one simple movie here with the title and the IMDb. Let's see if we can insert one of those. All right, so we had created a DAO. Let's add that to the DAO. I don't believe the DAO can store anything. There it is. So you can only do a finder. So let's do let's do a create here. Const create movie that takes as an argument a movie object that presumably is coming from the client and we want to store it. So we can just do movie model dot create and then movie. This is going to do what? This is going to insert the movie into the database, right? And it's going to return it, right? It's going to return it, right? So let's expose this as part of the export over here. And who's going to invoke this? Our controller. Our controller. When we have the post, we have the movie. We're going to use the DAO now, right? We're going to say the DAO movie DAO dot create movie, and we're going to pass the movie object. See that? Right? And when it comes back, presumably this is the movie object that was inserted, and we can then just respond with the movie that was just inserted. Right? Let's see what that does. Right? Let's restart the server. Let's restart the server. Okay, and let's like the object again. Let's like this again. So let's clear that. I really like this movie. So let's click on that. If we clear, notice what came back from the server. Right? Notice that it didn't actually store the entire object. Notice that it only stored title and IMDb because everything else was not in the schema. See that? It did some validation. It said, well, I know about these two fields. I don't know about these other 20 other fields. I don't know anything about that. Nobody told me how to store that. So only that got stored. If I go back to the database and I do a find, notice that now I have two movies, right? The one that I had inserted earlier plus this one that I now like. If I refresh this, right? If I refresh, notice that now I have two movies that I like, right? The one that I had inserted earlier plus the one I just liked. Make sense? The only caveat here is that if I like it, notice that I don't have an immediate response here. I don't see it right away. We have to like refresh to see it. See that? That's a limitation. So what I probably want to be able to do is that either the controller, right? Either the controller can do a separate query and says, well, it's been inserted, right? I can now query it again to retrieve all the movies, or I can have this client do that, right? The client can say, well, I sent a post. Well, now I'm going to go send a get to retrieve all the movies. It's better to do it on the server side. Anything that has to do with heavy data access, right? Instead of sending a lot of chatter across the network, it's better to do all that as much as you can right on the server side, right? And just respond everything that you need for the client to do it on the server. So let's do that. What we can do is that we just created the movie. Before responding with the JSON, what we could do is just not do this right now. Right? Instead, we can do a separate movie DAO. So movie DAO, find all the movies. So find all movies, find all movies, right? And then respond here. Then presumably these are all the movies, and then do a response. So this would be response dot send the JSON all the movies. Yes, and notice that we know of a syntax which fixes this skewing all the way to the right-hand side. Right? We can fix it by doing what? We can do a return here, and then we can move this then down here, which is a little bit easier to read. Yes. All right. So there it is. So once we've been inserted, we're going to do an additional find, and we're going to respond with all the movies. On the client, we have done this fetch. Now this response is what? It's now all the movies that I liked, including this new one that I just inserted. So I can use this liked to do what? I can update my state, right? Because these are all the movies that are coming back from the server. I can change the state, set state, all the liked movies. I can change it, right? So wait a minute. So this click, this like movie, this props comes here, and then we're gonna update it. Update what? We're gonna send back all the liked movies down to who? Where's my liked movies? Where is it? Oh, we are in movie details. Oh, wait a minute. We liked it, right? And somehow we need to send it back to who? Maybe up the chain and then down. Oh, that complicates things, right? Let's see. So ideally, this would happen where? Ideally, this would happen at my parents, so that my parents can send the state down to the children, right? Okay, so let's redesign this a little bit.